Well, many thanks indeed for staying with us here on the news at 1. Here's some of the business stories we're tracking for you at this time. The Minister of State for Power, Mr. Godi Jediagba, has denied knowledge of the indiscriminate electricity tariff imposed by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission on consumers. Speaking on the subject, the minister said issues with the tariff are in the jurisdiction of the chairman of the Regulatory Commission. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress has kicked against the over 3 trillion naira injected by the federal government into the privatized electricity companies without any commensurate increase in power generation over the past 10 years. And speaking during the public hearing on the amendment of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act 2005, the Secretary General of the National Union of Electricity Employers of Nigeria, Mr. Joe Ajero, expresses the need to amend and provide legal and institutional framework for the power sector. Well, let's stay with the power sector for a moment, as a electricity distribution company has expressed readiness to supply minimum of 20 hours of uninterrupted power supply within its network areas in 2023. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the power company, Dr. Tinuade Sanders, who made this known to newsmen here in Lagos, explains that this is non-negotiable as the power grid keeps doing the needful, adding that efforts are ongoing towards the completion of the installation of transformers within its network areas. She also hinted on improved metering for consumers, assuring them of continued fixing of tripping feeders.
Our employees, upon my appointment as the MD, the first thing we did as a team was to look inwards and look at our service delivery areas to address, improve customer service delivery, to look at areas where we need to focus on in order for our customers, existing customers, to receive good service from us. We also purchased and today delivered an additional 150 new distribution transformers. We got other approval for 200, but we have received 150 and we have installed 150 in the course of the year to address overloaded DTs area, to address areas where transformers have been faulty, and we also had to repair quite a lot of that.
On the issue of energy theft, the EDC boss showed that the completion of metering will foster energy audit that will consequently provide a lasting solution to the menace. She notes that the federal government has invested heavily in the Transmission Company of Nigeria to address the issues of grid collapse in the country.
Upon my appointment as the MD, the first thing we did as a team was to look inwards and look at for year 2023, our goal really is to ensure that customers get improved power service delivery, customers are billed accurately, we're able to meet our consumers and bill them for the energy that they've consumed accurately. We hope that in the course of the year also, as we have always been doing as EKDC, continue to settle our market obligations in full. And also we'll continue to address the rehabilitation of our frequent tripping feeders and ensure that we can guarantee uninterrupted power supply.
Away from the power sector, the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit has banned cash withdrawals from accounts belonging to the federal, state and local governments, as well as all its agencies. It further reaffirms the guidelines for compliance by all financial institutions, non-financial institutions and public officials, as well as foreign missions, amongst others, in the country. Where the NFIU reveals that the federal government withdrew 225.72 billion naira and state governments withdrew 701.54 billion naira in cash between 2015 and 2022, while all the 774 local governments combined only withdrew 156.76 billion naira within the same period. However, the agencies noting that the enforcement of guidelines are for the mitigation of money laundering, terrorist financing, proliferation of weapons, and prevention of predicate crimes in the country. While the Lagos State Chamber of Commerce says the contribution of the manufacturing sector to Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) may fall from the 8.2% recorded in the third quarter of 2022 unless the government intervenes in the sector. Director General LCCI, Mrs. Chinyere Amona, is calling on the government to save the sector from decline by improving the operating environment. Mrs. Amona further explains that factors that may continue to drive the major economic indicators are rising inflation, tight monetary policies, foreign exchange scarcity, and debt burden. The Chamber is also projecting that the Apex Bank, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria, may further review the interest rate upward during its Monetary Policy Committee meeting in January to 17%. Let's turn to global markets now as Asian equities gained today while the dollar hovered near a one-month high as investors braced for crucial U.S. jobs data later in the day that should provide clues on how aggressive the Federal Reserve will be tightening policy. Japan's Nikkei rose at 0.39%, while South Korea's Kospi jumped at 0.77%. Australia's stock benchmark was 0.56% higher, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rallied at 0.6%, although mainline blue chips were flat in early trading. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan added at 0.29%, and U.S. E-mini futures indicated an increase of 0.35%, pointing to a small bounce after the 1.16% overnight slide for the S&P 500. Away from global markets, a surge in the cost of most food commodities last year has sent the United Nations Food Agency's average price index to the highest level on record as the disruption caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine raised concerns of the shortages. But the Food and Agricultural Organization's Food Price Index, which tracks international prices of the most globally traded food commodities, averaged 143.7 points in 2022, up at 14.3% from 2021, and the highest since records started in 1990. The index had already gained 28% in 2021 from the previous year as the world's economy recovered from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. But food prices surged after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February last year on fears of disruption to Black Sea trade. Let's wrap things off now with crude oil prices on the international market as it rose as much as $1 today, extending gains from the previous session supported by hopes of a China demand boost after data showed lower U.S. fuel inventories following a winter storm that hit at the end of the year 2022. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude experienced an upward price review of 0.33% to sell at $73.91 per barrel. And Brent crude futures also experiences an uptick of 0.25%, selling at $78.89 per barrel. Bonilite sells at $78.93 per barrel, with an upward price review of 1.70%. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are offering $76.90 per barrel, with a price decline of 5.40%.